We'll begin our practice today by sharing with you a sentiment of metta, loving kindness. Here's a little painting I made. And this one reads, "May you learn to see with your eyes closed. May you learn to see with your eyes closed." Such a curious paradox, isn't it? And you'll notice many times as you're practicing with me, I often close my eyes. It's because I like to minimize visual distraction and I can hear myself think better. And so it's a valuable exercise to, when we sink into the practice, to close our eyes, to really drop into this beautiful body, to turn that gaze that is so bombarded externally, so much stimuli in our world that's moving so fast, so much imagery. So to close the eyes attenuates that, turns it down, and we can keep an inward gaze on the body, on the mind, on our emotions, and maybe even some of the perceptions we're harboring, some of the formations, stories that we tell ourselves. These are the 4 foundations of mindfulness, sati, to take our awareness into the body, wander around in the body, look at what feels tight. Maybe something is sour. Can you move your posture a little bit? Can you lie down? Maybe the body needs to rest. And by having the body in a stable, restful position, maybe we can begin to explore the mood and the emotions. Is there any agitation there? Is there any joy, any fear, sorrow? And just allow those emotions to be. And then notice if the mind is harboring any thoughts or concocting any stories based on what the body is feeling, what the emotions are doing. And by having a simple inward gaze, we call our attention and observe. Notice. We don't have to react. We don't have to cling. We notice. And maybe by breathing a little bit, we can breathe in the act of noticing. We can breathe out the act of release. I'm not going to pick up that thought, pick up that story. I'm just going to let everything be. And like silt in a churned glass of water, if we let it be long enough, the silt will settle and the water will become more clear. And this is the foundation of this practice. We've been exploring the Noble Eightfold Path, wise intention, wise understanding, wise action, wise speech, wise effort, wise livelihood, wise mindfulness, and wise concentration. That is the Noble Eightfold Path in the traditional sense. In the reimagined sense, when I think about cultivating wisdom around my intentions and my actions and my understanding and so on, I just wanted to contemplate for myself, what does that actually mean for me? I want to be able to take this contemplation, this discernment and insight off my cushion and into my day to day. The way I order a coffee, the way I'm on hold waiting to make an appointment. The way I do my laundry and clean up dog poo and work in my garden. My whole life, I want to be impacted by these elements that define the Noble Eightfold Path. So for me, to cultivate this wisdom is all about how do I want to be in the world? How do I want to be in my life? So for me, to cultivate wise intention is to be curious. For me, to cultivate wise understanding, it is to be spacious. Wise action is all about me trying to be real, because sometimes my actions are not going to be skillful, and sometimes my actions are. Can I be real about that? Can I put down all the activities of being defensive and self-protective and just be real? Wise speech for me is to be patient. Wise effort is to be present. Wise livelihood for me is to be whole. And what that means for me is to have an equanimous attitude, which means there are aspects about me that I'm not proud of, that aren't particularly noble. I can be petty and righteous. I can be arrogant and unconscious. And those unpracticed states manifest in all kinds of unskillful ways. And they are a part of me. And while I could try to amputate those qualities from my being, from my image of the perfect me, those qualities tend to grow back. I can't actually get rid of them. I can only understand them and allow them to be present with me. They make the whole of me. Because right beside those non-virtuous qualities, don't forget, I have all of these other highly virtuous qualities. I have an enormous capacity to share. I am incredibly creative. I'm annoyingly joyful at times. I'm tenacious. And I'm bright. Both of those qualities, non-virtuous and virtuous, make the whole of me, and they define my life and my livelihood. To cultivate wise mindfulness, friends, for me, is to be kind. And to cultivate a practice that includes wise concentration. This means that I feel invited to be new. When I concentrate and I'm gaining insight, this means that I'm developing the motivation to change things about me that I don't like. They don't align with my aspiration. And so I would like to peel those layers away, a little bit like a snake shedding its skin, and to come forward new, And this is really vulnerable and tender, but that's why community and the practice is such a solid place for me to engage this. Yesterday, I brought forward an image, and I'd like to end our meditation with this and bring forward some silence so we can really integrate what you've heard today. And really, the integration is what you've been listening to in my voice as it sings your own wisdom. And what I hope in the silence you'll really pay attention to hearing is your wisdom bubbling up, perhaps inspired and stirred by my perspective here, by what I've shared. In the West, the Western mind is governed often by a dualistic approach, a dualistic perspective. On one hand, I have all the things about me that I don't like, all the negative, all the bad. And on the other hand, I have all the good things about me, all the things that I do like, all the things that are aligned with my aspirations. And in this dualistic mindset, I get to this place in my mind where I'm either one or the other. And if I'm in a negative mind state, suddenly that's all I see. It's all I look for. It's all I become. It's all I talk about. It's all I feel. And it's just this incredible skewed weight. And I forget that over here in my other hand, I've got all these really amazing qualities. But if I'm in a negative mind state, I poo-poo all my positive qualities. I dismiss them. When people try to compliment me or praise me, I'm like, nah, if you really knew me, you'd only see all this mucky muck over here like I do. This dualistic mindset, I'm either one or the other, I'm either good or I'm bad, I'm either wrong or I'm right, causes a great deal of suffering. And the Buddha said very clearly that there's a middle way, because these extremes, it's not that they're not true. I have all of these negative qualities. It's true. But it's not the whole truth, because on the other side, I have all of these positive qualities. But I'm not only these positive qualities. The truth of me is how they come together. And the even bigger truth is this. Let's say, on the negative side, let's focus there. Some unskillful virtue that I possess. Maybe it's my pettiness. Within that virtue, there are positive and negative elements. I can learn a lot from being petty. While it doesn't feel good, there's still some wisdom there for me to extract. Likewise, when I'm open and I'm curious, there are good and bad things about that too. Let's make it more tangible. The Buddha taught us that the nature of reality is that we're all going to be sick. So on one hand, we have sickness, and on the other hand, we have health. And the good thing about sickness is that it teaches me about appreciating my body. When I'm sick and I am miserable and I'm self-absorbed, if I'm practiced, I remember to appreciate my health. Not only that, I can appreciate that other people are sick just like me. And I can think about them, and it can elevate me out of my self-absorption. That's a very positive element of being sick, even when being sick feels so awful. On the other hand is my health. And one of the negative aspects of being healthy for me is I forget. I totally take advantage of my body. I forget how vulnerable I am. I forget what it means to be sick. I expect my body to do and go. I deprive it of rest and nutrition when I'm healthy, and then, lo and behold, I get sick. So the Buddha encourages us that there's a middle way. There's another way, and that way, as I demonstrated yesterday, is to bring your hands together. The negative, the positive, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong, all that dualism that defines our reality, that defines our life, bring it together in a state of both and. I'm both these things and so much more. Can I be curious about this and cultivate an intention to stay curious? And in my aspiration to understand myself fully, can I create the space I need to see clearly? When my actions falter, can I stop making excuses and simply be real? Can I also stop beating myself up about it and just be real? This agonizing approach to perfection is a folly. I cannot learn in the absence of error. So I'm not always going to get it right. With my speech, can I learn to be patient? Can I put down the weapons, the second arrows, the brutality and hostility I harbor toward myself? In my efforts, can I be present to life as it is, to myself as I am? And in my livelihood, can I learn to bring it all together in a spirit of neutrality and openness? This is the fertile soil for my growth. And with mindfulness, sati, can I nurture my innate birthright, really, which is to be kind and loving. And as I continue to concentrate on this, can I simply allow this natural unfurling for a new me to emerge, a new you too? And maybe what's emerging isn't actually all that new. Maybe it's simply Buddha nature, your Buddha nature, you exactly as you are, free from all the stories and all the layers of misgiving and falsity. A magnificent human being, an expression of the divine, a whole you, a whole me. Enjoy this silence. Remember to breathe. So let's end our practice today with a dedication of merit. I'd like to call to mind all of our loved ones who are here physically and all of our loved ones who have gone ahead and are on the other side. And their spirits still inform us, they live within us. And one of the best ways we can honor our beloved dead, especially, is to learn to better live. We live for them, not out of guilt, but out of a sense of mutuality and animation that they can't live this life anymore. So what a privilege to be able to live it for them, with them in spirit. I'd like to dedicate this practice to our loved ones who are lost and wayward. Maybe our loved ones are really connected to habit energy, and it is negatively affecting their capacity to stay connected and engaged. I'd like to dedicate this practice to all of our loved ones who have no idea there's such a thing called a practice. They are just living their lives from one reaction to the next reaction to the next reaction. We know what that's like, and it can bring forward a great deal of misery. So with that, friends, if it feels comfortable, we bring our hands together in prayer pose at the level of the heart. May you be at peace and at ease. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your true nature, and may this heal you. May you be a source of healing for all beings everywhere. Thank you so much for your practice, friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great, 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 great today. Namaste.